Hi, I'm Hugh Sullivan, videographer for the Herald and Review, and I just got back from a last-minute trip to Boston. And while I was there, I learned a few things. First off, while my wife and I were walking around town, we came up on a demonstration outside Faneuil Hall. There was a group of people out there showing support for Ukraine and Venezuela. My first reaction after seeing a row of TV cameras out covering the event was, man, I'm glad I'm on vacation and I don't have to stand out here in the cold because it was miserable outside. But then after snapping a few photos, I found myself thinking I should get in closer and get some more shots, or I should, I was even tempted to talk to a few people, and I thought, well, now I'm just going to look like a tourist. I don't have my big work camera with me. I don't have any press credentials. Not that I really wear them around Decatur much anyway. But I felt like I would just look like some tourist who's just like, hey, look, there's people protesting. I'm going to go take a photo. And it didn't feel as official as it does when I'm actually working. And so even though I was glad I didn't have to cover the event, I found myself kind of wishing that I could. So we kept going down Congress Street, and we saw another protest. And this was one of those Occupy protests with a bunch of tents in a park and a bunch of people standing around. And I thought, first of all, it seemed weird because I hadn't heard of any recent Occupy protests. And second of all, it seemed weird because all the riot police were just kind of hanging out and like leaning on a fence talking to the protesters. And I thought it was way too informal for the size of what was happening there. After walking around for a little bit, we saw that it was actually a film set for a TV show they were filming, and so that made a little bit more sense. And then my jealousy kicked in again, because if this was happening in Decatur, I would have been out there filming it. And then even more than that, I thought, oh, how cool would it be to actually participate on the set and get to help out making a movie or a TV show. So that was the end of a long day of walking, and so we were just passing through on our way back to the hotel. But I thought, my wife is in a conference all day on Monday. I'm going to hop a train downtown and try and talk my way onto the film set and see if I can help out somehow. Odds are they'll say that, they can't just let someone off the street in handling expensive equipment, but it would have been crazy not to ask. So Monday came along, I went downtown, and they were already striking the set. So, they told me, no, we're not giving you a hammer to help tear things down. So they told me to hit the bricks. And on my way out, though, I did run into one of the set designers. And he was on a smoke break, so he talked to me for a little bit. And he said that if I was really interested in getting onto some film sets, he told me to check Craigslist. And so I don't know how many big film opportunities on Craigslist will be happening in Decatur, but, who knows? There might be something in St. Louis or Chicago or some other surrounding area that might be worth it to try. So I may do that sometime. So I was glad that I didn't have to cover the political event or stand out in the cold to, hang out on a movie set. But at the same time, I found myself being kind of sad that I didn't get to use my position as a journalist to get into these places and actually have an excuse to participate and get some good art. And the same thing happened because I went on a tour of a brewery and a chocolate factory. And immediately, as I was watching things and kind of filming them from the catwalk like everyone else from the tour, I thought, if this was in Decatur, not only would I've already been on the tour, but I would have probably gone and done something for the newspaper where I got even better access to stuff and got lots of better photos and video. So even though I was happy to have some time off and get to travel, I did find it hard to shut off the curious nature and, the desire to kind of create things and tell a story and get in there and ask people questions, because that's what I'm doing every day. So instead of telling one long story while I was there, I focused on Instagram and taking everything from one big story and just narrowing it down to 12-second clips. It's really interesting, because you look at things a lot differently when you're going to be editing or when you have to just get it all in one shot. I know you can do like in-camera editing with the Instagram app, but I prefer to just get one clip and then put it in Instagram. That's the way I do it. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, but more on that later. Check back next week where I talk about the fact that even though I had the Canon 5D Mark II with me in Boston, I took most of my photos and video on the cell phone, and I'm not sorry about it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel. Go check out my personal channel where I have some goofy stuff, and check back every week where I talk about my experiences behind the camera.